Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 344. You know, what I'm going to talk about today, I'm sure is going to come as a shock to a lot of you. I mean, we have another member of so-called polite society, this time from Australia, a former prime minister, who has found himself caught up in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. People are wondering, people want to know, people are asking, why did Jeffrey Epstein give your think tank $650,000? And to those listeners out there who are listening in from Australia, well, I'm talking about Kevin Rudd. I'm sure my listeners from Australia are much more informed about the man than I am, but he was an ex-prime minister of Australia, and now another person caught up in Jeffrey Epstein's fallout. It's pretty crazy when you think how wide-reaching this was, how vast this was, and how many different continents it took place on. Epstein's tentacles reached far and wide, and his money brought in many, many big fish on the world stage. And unfortunately, as we see in just about the whole entire Western world, Australia is no different. They have thieves and crooks and con men all around, I'm sure, in their political system, just like the rest of us. And it's sad that we've come to this point where people like Kevin Rudd, who used to be the Prime Minister of Australia, is palling around with a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. So let's jump into this article from the Daily Mail and catch up on what's going on with this new idiot from so-called polite society and his adventures with his pedophile buddy. Headline: Kevin Rudd is engulfed in Jeffrey Epstein's scandal as it's revealed the billionaire pedophile gave $650,000 to his peace think tank. This article was authored by Charlotte Karp. So, right off the bat, you gotta ask yourself, $650,000, huh? For what? Did he just give it to him out of the kindness of his heart? Is that the kind of man Jeffrey Epstein was? Is that the profile that's been built for him so far that we have dug out here in the news and from firsthand accounts? Or was Jeffrey Epstein giving him this money with knowing he'd be catching something on the back end? And that is what we need to get to the bottom of when it comes to all of these donations. It is not a good look to receive money from a sex trafficker and a money launderer. It's really not a good look, and it needs to be investigated. That is all I have ever called for from the very beginning. A real, exhaustive investigation into all of this. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's get to the very bottom of what occurred. But for decades, they've avoided that. For decades, instead, they've lied. They've BS'd. They've hoped everyone would forget. Well, their hopes were absolutely squashed, especially in the past year. Kevin Rudd has found himself in the middle of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal after the billionaire pedophile gave $650,000 to his peace think tank. Now again, what does a peace think tank need $650,000 for? Furthermore, what do they need $650,000 from Jeffrey Epstein for? Is Jeffrey Epstein some bastion of peace I didn't know about? Is he running around like Gandhi? Is he out there preaching no violence? I don't understand. What does Jeffrey Epstein have to do with a peace think tank? He's not a geopolitical analyst. He's not somebody that understands the ins and outs of the hotspots of the world. The guy's lucky he was able to tie his shoes in the morning, if we're being frank. He is not some genius. He was never some genius. He was just another dropout. Point blank, period. And that doesn't mean that people that dropped out are automatically stupid. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of people drop out and they go get life experience, right? They go get a regular job. They get a job as an electrician or whatever you might do. With Jeffrey Epstein, well, he drops out and all of a sudden he falls face first into this mega rich $1 million operation. Yeah, I'm sure that he just fell face first into it. I am sure that he didn't have any help, and his buddy Robert Maxwell or Wexner, none of them had anything to do with it. The former prime minister said on Wednesday he was blindsided when he realized the now dead sex offender donated the exorbitant sum to New York-based International Peace Institute. You were blindsided? So when the donation came in, $650,000, you didn't inquire about it, where it came from, where it originated, why you guys were getting it? You just woke up one day and it was in your stocking? I don't understand how these people actually think we are going to believe the BS that they're throwing at us on a regular basis at this point. These people are absolutely so out of touch with the way media has turned, with the way people are getting their media now. Epstein was already a convicted sex offender who had served time in jail when he started donating to the institute, which Mr. Rudd has chaired for 6 years. Well, there you have it, folks. Not only was Jeffrey Epstein donating to the charity, it was after he was already a convicted sex offender, just like the rest of them. And of course, what's the excuse? Oh, I had no idea. I didn't know Jeffrey Epstein was a prolific sex trafficker or an abuser of women. I had no idea. Oh, well, we would have never taken that money if we would have known. Meanwhile, this is the ex-Prime Minister of Australia, and I will say it again. You don't know how to use Google? You don't know how to vet the information that you're getting or the money that you're getting? It's pretty simple. I'm sure you still have a staff of people working with you. Have somebody take a look at where the money is coming from. It is not that difficult of a challenge. But instead, they all stick with the same story. It's like, I wonder if they all got together at the members of so-called polite society dinner and decided what story they were all going to use. Because it's the same across the board, right? I had no idea. I had no clue that Jeffrey Epstein was this vile monster. What? Again, if you were hanging out with him after he was arrested, I don't want to hear shit about how you didn't know what kind of guy he was. You knew what kind of person he was, but you didn't care. You were way too busy trying to build social credit. You were way too busy trying to climb the social ladder, and you were way too busy accepting money from him. And that's how it works in so-called polite society, right? They don't give a shit. The disgraced hedge fund manager committed suicide, allegedly, in his jail cell in August 2019 after being arrested on child sex trafficking charges. Look, as far as the suicide goes, again, I am more than willing to accept that he killed himself. 100% willing to accept that. But the facts do not lead us to that point. I mean, we're going to take the word of Darth Barr and his henchmen. That's where we're at. We're just going to accept that narrative. Considering everything we see in the world, how we have two separate realities in this country basically at this point, we're going to believe what Barr has to say and not do any other investigation or not have any other questions. Well, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to need to see tangible evidence that he indeed killed himself. His links with celebrities and world leaders were examined following his death, which was ruled as a suicide, allegedly, dragging along powerful names such as Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, and Bill Clinton, all of whom deny any wrongdoing. Yeah, I'm sure, again, we didn't even know Jeffrey Epstein. None of us did. We never hung out with him. Well, what about the pictures of you guys together? Oh, that was a long time ago. We weren't really friends. We just ran into each other at a couple of events. Shut up, okay, please. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody's buying it. It's obviously BS. Just be real. Be honest. Come out and say, hey, look, we were homies, and I found out what he was like. I found out what he was into, and that's why we're not friends anymore. And if that was the case, I'm sure a lot of people would be like, all right, look, I get it. Shit happens. You don't know what everybody's doing around you at all times. But when you're close to somebody, and you're in their inner circle and you're going over to their house and visiting their island, etc., you can't use the excuse that I had no idea, because bitch, yes you did. Mr. Rudd said he first became aware of Epstein's donations from reports by the Norwegian press in November 2019. And we did an article from the Norwegian press recently, an outlet called DN, and they do great work over there. Very good investigative work, very thorough, and it all stands up when you vet it out. So it was, they're doing really good work all around the globe. There are outlets that really care, and there certainly are independent journalists who are definitely engaged and digging up the scoop here. And to all of those people, I tip my cap, because it's not easy work to put all the pieces together. And places like DN that are outing people in their own country for their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, I think they're doing really good work. And it's a big part of the case, because we know that this wasn't just in the United States or just in the US and England. This is multi-continental, transcontinental. These people were involved all over the world with the richest and most powerful people in it, while at the same time running a sex trafficking ring. The source of these donations had not previously been disclosed to the board, nor to me as chair, he said on Wednesday. Let's kick the can down the road. Let's blame somebody else. Blame whoever was the guy in charge of the donations. Meanwhile, you're the boss. Somebody doesn't call you and say, hey, look, dude, we got a $650,000 donation. That's like the news you want to share with your boss right away, right? And then I know me as the boss, I'd be like, great, well, that's great. Then the next question is, okay, where did it come from? So you mean to tell me those conversations never took place? We got a guy who's an ex-prime minister of Australia, but he didn't think that it was prudent to ask where the money came from, where the money originated from. And the answer to that is no, they do not. They don't care. More money, more power, more prestige. That's all they care about, not doing the right thing. Mr. Rudd said he found the donations deeply disturbing, particularly because of IPI's work combating human trafficking and sexual violence. Wow. Can you imagine? This foundation that took this money works against human trafficking and against sexual assault. Jeffrey Epstein's bread and butter. Do you think he wasn't laughing the whole time he was donating this money, getting a big kick out of it with his good friends around the Jeffrey Epstein table later on in the day? Oh, I'm sure they were. He thought he got away with all of this shit. He thought he was never going to have to answer for any of it. And don't tell me about the little visit to the stockade. That's nothing. I'm talking about really answer for his crimes. He never thought he was answering for shit. So he kept doing what he was doing brazenly. And then, to top it off, you have him donating to these human trafficking foundations, and then you have Ghislaine Maxwell going to a human trafficking gala that's raising money for people who have been affected by it. It is so disgusting. These people are so, honestly, evil. In my opinion, these are some of the most evil people going. Anyone donating to the IPI from now on would also have to pass a good character test. Look, if you were never exposed, you would have never put that safeguard in place. So it's nice that you finally have a safeguard in place, but please, stop it. You should have been very stringent. You should have really checked where this money was coming from. People don't just drop off $650,000 for you with nothing expected in return. What was Epstein getting in return? Did he have access to any of the information that the company might have? Phone numbers or addresses, or who the hell knows what Jeffrey Epstein's motivations were? The fact is, though, that Mr. Rudd should have been more vigilant. He should have done a better job. Neither the loan nor its repayment has been previously disclosed to the board or to me as chair. Okay, well then where did it go? Who did it get disclosed to? Who is in charge? Who received the money? Are we ever going to get those answers? Probably not. They'll do the same as everybody else and hope we forget about it. Mr. Rod Larson has apologized to the board for what he has described as his grave error of judgment. Despite going to an event in New York in 2013 to honor the Mongolian president that Epstein also attended, Mr. Rudd said he has no recollection of meeting the financier. Pedophile. No recollection, huh? Zero recollection. I never met him. Oh, that picture? Well, that strokes my memory a little bit. I just met him at one dinner. I'm so tired of their excuses. It's such BS. I wish just one of these people would man up and answer these questions directly and not hide from them. This is just the guest list, and it cannot be confirmed for certain who was actually there, he said. Mr. Rudd also denied taking a payment of $100,000 for advising the Mongolian government on security because the only thing he did was participate in a conference call in 2004. Well, if he's denying he took the money, my opinion is he probably took the money. We got a politician and there's some smoke, there's usually fire. What, a politician's never taken any kind of money before? $100,000 after they've been out of office to, prop up the old bank account? What's the point of being a politician if you aren't going to wield that power and broker meetings afterwards? Epstein and Mr. Rudd were 2 of the 10 participants in the conference call, but he said he understood neither took any money for it. Yeah, okay, sure. Mr. Rudd declared all dealings the IPI had with Epstein would be thoroughly investigated by one of the big 4 accounting firms. Oh, I'm sure. I am sure that it's going to be a vast investigation by the firm that you hire. Have you guys noticed the playbook yet? Is the template not clear? The blueprint for all of them is the same. They're trying to kill some time, waste more time. Oh, we're going to have an investigation. All right, how about a real independent investigation? That'll never happen, though. Any significant engagement with someone as odious as Epstein must be taken seriously and investigated thoroughly, he said. Meanwhile, they already took the $650,000. Epstein was already a convicted sex criminal, and this guy has the audacity to try and gaslight us here and say it needs to be taken seriously and investigated thoroughly. Yeah, bitch. You should have done that when you first got the money. That ship has sailed. Now you're caught up in Jeffrey Epstein's fallout, and my question once again to all of you out there is, was the money received dirty? And if it was, is Mr. Rudd and his organization also going to be caught up in a RICO case? If you'd like to contact me, you could do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I will be back tomorrow and we will pick it back up where we left off.